Hey everybody, I just got a 3D printer and I've been wanting to learn how to 3D model and make pretty much whatever I want with it. So I'm starting my 3D modeling journey, and the first thing I'm creating and have created is this Connect 4 game. Now, me and my girlfriend love playing Connect 4 through Game Pigeon, so I wanted to design like an actual board instead of going out and buying one. And with this, I've designed this whole system here with this pull tab at the bottom to release all the pins, all the checkers. I've designed the checkers. I've designed it's all modular, so it comes apart. I've designed these walls. These are the outside walls. I've designed the supports for the outside, and I, of course, designed the pull tab. All of this I made in Onshape, and I printed on my Bambu P2S. So this video is just going to be going over how I did it, how I used it, and going through the entire 3D design process. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, we're going to get started modeling the Connect 4 pieces. So again, disclaimer, I have not used Onshape in years. This is me trying to learn. So I'm going to suck pretty bad. Any tips would be recommended, but so first things first, let's make our little circle right on here. And then, yep, and then on this sketch, gotta draw our little circle. Now we want these to be 1 inch in diameter. So we're going to set that, and then we'll zoom in. And then what we're going to do is each one of these is going to have a little indent on the outside. So I think I have to make a sketch on top of this sketch at this point. Cool. And then, so on this sketch, we'll make that. Make our inside circle. We want to move this pretty far. We want that outer wall to be pretty small. That looks pretty good. Okay, now for the fun part, we're going to extrude in both directions for that edge and the outside as well. So let's see, what can we extrude? How do we do this? Okay. Perfect. So we have to extrude the center to have that actual thickness, the actual part, and we also have to extrude the outsides as well. So I'm going to make this symmetric. I want this to be, I think that should look relatively good on both sides for that. And then if we extrude again, but this time just for the center, that is not just the center. How do I just get the center? What if we go into this initial sketch and try extruding? There we go. Okay, so we want this again symmetric, and then I think this in both ways should be 0.1, but that means I need to make the other one even thicker. And then this original extrude, I need to make yeah, that looks pretty good. So in total, this piece is a 1/10 of an inch big, I want to say. Okay, and then I want to put an S on this, kind of just for decoration. And then that will be our piece pretty much done. So how do I put text? Let's see how to put text onto this. I'm going to make a sketch on this inside face. I know that. And then text. God, I love when it's easy. Let's just see what happens. Ooh, awesome. Okay, so let's just make one big text. Yeah, there we go. And then let's move that. Okay, we can center it. If we use these lines right here, I'm sure there's a way to center it automatically, but you can kind of see there's these dashes here. And if we center those dashes on the line, those are in theory the middle. So if we center each one of those 4 dashes on its corresponding line, in theory, it should be centered pretty nicely. Okay, I like that. Okay. Cool. Ooh, problem with this is How do we copy it to the other side? Let's try extruding. Hell yeah. Okay. So I want to say it's going to be 0.5, 0.05. That should be that one. Yeah, 0.05. That should line it. It does not line up nicely. How does that not line up nicely? This entire. Ooh, that's right. It should be 0.25 because since we're going off, since this entire this first extrude was 0.0 point, yeah, 0.05 off the base. That was 0.25 in each direction. Yeah, awesome. Okay, and then we're just gonna have to extrude this in the other way, opposite direction. Let's see. 1.25 because 0.125 other way. Negative. Ooh, let's keep pushing. 1.5. There we go. This looks pretty good for our Connect 4 pieces. So I just need to print. How many Connect 4 pieces are there? I think I did the math. Each game is 1, 2, 3. It's 7 by 7. So how many pieces does each team get? Connect 4. How many pieces does each player get? Let's see. 21 discs per person. Okay, so I'll print out 42 of these, 21 in one color and 21 in the other. Let me get that ready in Bambu Lab. Okay, so I figured out how to export this. So all we should have to do is right click down here. We're gonna export. We're gonna call this, I guess they call it checker, whatever. I want it to be 3MF, it should be fine. Yeah, let's just do that. Yep, medium, perfectly fine. And then I don't care about that. Okay, being prepared. And then while that's running, let's open up Bambu Lab. Ooh, perfect, that's done. And then all we should have to do, no thank you, is new project, drag this buddy in, yoink. Yep. Okay. That's fine. Okay. And then cool little trick, you can use this lay on face button and it'll do that real quick. Okay. And then the only issue I have is I'm wondering how the underside is going to print. I'm hoping with the S that S can actually provide some structural support. But let's see what Bambu says. Easy peasy. Slice okay. So if I'm hopeful. Well, we'll see. Let us print this. Purple is A4. Let's print this off. Yep. Okay, it started printing it. I will check back in whenever we're done. Not 0.5 seconds after that did this happen. Okay, so we're going back to the drawing board on this. Two issues. One, this outside ring is way too thin. That is too thin. Both visually, like that doesn't look great. But then also it doesn't actually print. We need more lines on the outside. And I am also figuring, just for the simplicity of everything, let's only have the S on one side and make the other side perfectly flat. If we're gonna do this type of extrusion like that. Or actually, let's do the classic thing, change one thing at a time and see if we can get what we're looking for. So this sketch here, damn, there's no good way. Let's see, it looks like there might be a way to change dimension tool. Ah, okay. See, I just have to learn how to use the tools of the software. Ooh, much better. Okay, let's make this, say, 0.85. What do we think? Yeah, that should give plenty of support in theory. Yeah, okay, much bulkier. Okay, now over to the printer. It's funny, this thing takes 11 minutes in total to print. Almost none of that is actually printing. I think it like took 2 minutes for that thing to print. but the rest of it is like all the care that goes into it. Okay, we are back. And now that we know this one prints pretty well, let's make, we already have 20, we already have one of this purple. So I want to make 20 more. So if we click clone, and then let's type in, again, we already have that one there. So we need 19 more copies of this. Let's click OK and watch it generate. That's super cool. And that looks pretty good. Let's send that over. And as you can see, pretty quick print time. Hopefully they all do pretty well. And we're gonna print these just all in A4. And then since we're sending it off, we should be able to just control it from there and switch the filament and do another 21. Let's go. So I now have 21 of these little checkers printed. Before we go on to the next step, I want to quickly shout out the sponsor of the video, and that's actually my company, Green Grid. So if you're interested in 3D modeling and 3D design, but you don't want to deal with the hassles, or you don't have a 3D printer yet, Green Grid is the place to go. With over 300 printers across the country, we can turn your design into reality. Whether that's a neighbor down the street who's willing to print your 3D design for you, or you can have professionals from across the country make it for you for pretty affordable prices. And we're even running special sales right now so that you can go check it out and let me know what you think. Okay, now that we're done with the pieces, the next part that I want to make is kind of the wall. So where the pieces are actually going to be seen from. So really, I'm kind of thinking of this as 3 pieces. You obviously have these, I think they're called checkers here. And then the 2 stands on each side. I guess 4 pieces. The 2 stands on each side, the checkers, the walls, which I'm gonna make 2 of them, and then the 4th piece is gonna be that little piece at the bottom that you can pull out. It stops all the checkers from falling, but then it also, you pull it out and it lets them all fall through. So I'm gonna design the walls first, and then design the stands, and then design that last kind of holding piece. So we have the checkers here, and they're, if I'm correct, I think I made them about 1 inch in diameter. Let's see, sketch, diameter tool, yeah. So I made them about 1 inch. So we have to keep that in mind for our whole thing. So each checker is 1 inch. The board is 7x7 checkers. So in theory, we'll need at least 7x7 kind of wall to hold all that area, but then a little bit more just for the edges. But let's see. Let's start creating. Let's go to our second part studio over here, and we're gonna do this again from the top. Let's hide everything else, and we're gonna make a sketch on here. So let's do 7 inches tall. I think is okay. Yeah, because we're gonna have a separate. Yeah, that should be fine. And then we're gonna make it 7.5 inches wide. So we're gonna take that sketch. That's gonna be our thing. No need to move it. I'll just then hide this. Okay. So now if we think of a Connect 4 game piece, yeah, so this is what I'm going for. So I'm gonna have the 2 separate things, but then we need to cut out and we need a little bit of thickness overall. So first let's extrude this out. Let's just say, let's see, what would be a good, I'm looking at my ruler right now, and I'm saying like a good extrusion for this would be like 1/4 of an inch, if that. Probably like I would say 1/10 of an inch, yeah. And again, we'll 3D print this, and if it's wrong, and we can just do it again. Okay, now for the fun part. I wonder so we're gonna need to cut out circles to be able to see the pieces. These don't have to be exactly 1 inch, and in fact, they shouldn't, so that the pieces can't fall through them. But I wonder if there's some good way to map it out, if that makes sense, where we're actually gonna be able to cut. I'll do something like that. And then this has to be, come on. This has to be 7 inches across, and this will give us some like area of like where the boundaries on each side are going. Can we move this? There we go. Okay, so now we know the dimension on each side. So this is gonna be the area where the circles are actually gonna be able to be seen. This will be the area inside our holders. So let's put our circle, and we're gonna make this, let's make it 0.9. And then we can kind of just offset this from each side, I think. No, use that dimension tool again, yeah. We'll do that, and we want this to be kind of pressed up pretty close because again, that's where we're gonna, oh, okay, that's the, yeah, that's the, I wanna, this and this should be, let's do 0.05. Okay, so, but let's just make sure, so that means there's 0.05 and an inch up here. Okay, perfect. That should give us plenty of room to be able to see, but also stack. And then in theory, if we have 0.5 here and 0.5 here, they'll stack nicely. And we just need to copy this 7 times across and 7 times up. Now we have to extrude it through, so we have that like cutout. And I'm just gonna, this extrude is not where I want it to be. Can we do that? Yep. So we're gonna remove and then perfect, it'll just cut through. So that's what we want. And then we're gonna use this linear pattern tool right up here. Where is it? There it is, linear pattern. And we're gonna select our extrude and then we can, oh, wrong. Linear pattern tool, we have to change it to feature pattern. We can select our extrude and then we shouldn't be double clicking on it. Linear pattern, feature to pattern, the extrude, and then the direction, we'll put an edge up here. Oh, wrong one. Direction, and this way. And then, nope, I had this working. Not extrude one, I want, oh, I deleted the wrong. There we go, extrude 2. Edge of extrude 1. For some reason it goes in that way, but that's fine. We'll just do it the opposite way in a second. But we want 7 across. No, we want an inch in between each one, and then we want 7 across. Okay, awesome. That's that way. Let's go. Okay, and then can we linear pattern this? Let's see. We're gonna change this to a feature. Yes. And then in theory, if we click this way, nope, not that. Direction, click that way. Yes. Opposite direction. Wow, wonderful, good job. And then let's see, can we also add this first extrude as a, no, not that one. No, this one. Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Okay, now we have this entire thing nicely. And then we'll set this to 1. Beautiful. Okay, we have our, so that should be our board. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna send this over to Bambu Lab and we're gonna start printing this. So after printing, this is the final result of the walls. I made a few changes. Mainly, I made everything longer. That way there was actually more room for the checkers to fit because they were squeezing each other. And I also made these little pins that you can kind of see here. And the main idea for that is that they'll, on both sides, they'll be able to kind of connect in the middle, but then they'll also prevent the checkers from rolling side to side, just adding a little bit of friction so that they can still go up and down easily, but they won't be able to move side to side and fall into other columns. The one thing I did notice after printing and after designing the entire thing was that Connect 4 is actually supposed to be a 7x6 grid and not a 7x7 grid like I have here, but oh well, whatever, it's just my special design. Okay, we have the 2 walls successfully fully printed. Now it's time for the stands, and I think that's probably going to be the most intricate part of this one because we're not just using regular shapes, we are using lines. So let's start figuring it out. So we'll make our next part, and then I'm going to make this again facing down. So let's get rid of all these things here. So I'm kind of thinking of like a big rectangle and then a square base with kind of a trapezoid. I hope that makes sense. So we have to get the dimensions of our checkers to determine what we need. So this whole thing, extrude 2, that was symmetric, so it's 0.1 of an inch. So it's 0.1 of an inch for the checkers, and then our walls, I believe, were, yeah, another 0.1. So in theory, if we have our wall, checker wall sandwich, we need 0.3, and then I think we'll just add another like 0.02 for some tolerance, maybe even a little less. So we need in total 0.3 at least, but that should be enough to start the process. So let's make our sketch on top of here. And then let's make the basic shape first. The height of this thing, of the wall itself, is 7 inches, 9. That'll give us 2 inches to deal with. I think my printer goes up to 10. If it doesn't, we'll just subtract from the bottom. And then let's do, I'd say an inch deep on each side. That should be plenty. Awesome. Okay, we'll make that. And then with this sketch, I also want to make the base. So the base is going to be something like this. We're going to make this, let's do 1.5 inches for the base. And then actually we should make it closer to 2. Because I want the top to kind of be flush. So how much exactly was this sketch? This was 7.5 by 7. Okay, so this was exactly 7. So we want, exactly that. So I'm going to make it 1.9 here. Let's do 1.95. Yeah, let's do that. And then let's center this. What was our other dimension? I don't know. Let's center this by putting 1.5. And let's say this dimension on this side is also 1.5. I think I can do that. Can I? Or is this going to conflict? Perfect. Okay. Good. And then that'll be our main thing. Okay. Cool. And then this needs to be a little bit more sturdy. So we're gonna extrude this whole thing up, both of these. Okay, and then let's do 0.75 of an inch. And again, 3D printing is wonderful. So if anything's wrong, I will just reprint it. Okay, cool. So that's what our basic thing looks like. That's the basic stand. But we need to add a few things. First, we need to add slits over here for our walls. So let's put a sketch on this face, and then let's do something like that. Perfect. Okay, so this needs to be 7, and then the walls are, how thick did we say those walls were? The walls are a point. So I want just the tiniest bit of tolerance on this sketch here. Okay, so we'll do. Okay, so this needs to be 7, and then this needs to be like, let's do 0.1. That should give enough tolerance for that. And then we'll copy the same exact thing. Just do that. And we'll do 7, and we'll do 0.11. Awesome. And now we'll put a dimension between these two. What did we say earlier? 0.3 is like exact, so let's do 0.32. That should give enough tolerance. Okay, so now we have to center this. Okay, so now we'll dimension tool that. What do we say? 0.23. That looks perfect. Okay, now we need to extrude those faces inward. How much extra room did we give for that on here? So let's go on here, and then sketch 2, we can see that we gave 1/4 inch. So that's how much we have to dig in. So we're gonna go into here, and then let's extrude on top of the sketches. Awesome. So we'll make this 1/4 inch, and then we will opposite direction. Let's do remove. Okay, awesome. Now, 2 more things I want to do. We have to add room down here for our like mechanism, and then we also have to. I want to like make this like a line, if that makes sense. Like I don't want this to be a brick. But basically, my idea for this mechanism is a really simple like pull lever. I think that's what they use for Connect 4, I'm pretty sure. Maybe. But yeah, that's what I want. I kind of want the like edge there. It's been a while. Yeah, like here it looks like, yeah, there's just a pull tab on the side. And that's what I want. So let us make room for that here. So we'll put a sketch onto here, or we can just keep adding onto this sketch here. Let's make, we have 0.7, so that will rest right there. So then right on, we don't want it directly under because we don't want the wall to fall into it, but we want like a hole right here-ish. And again, I want this to this to be 0.23 to center it. Let's just make it a nice even number at 0.7, which means on each side we need 0.15. 0.15. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Now that should be easy for us to just put a push pin kind of thing through. Okay, now I want to figure out, yeah, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, so let's copy that and then do that exact same thing on this side. Awesome. Thank you, Onshape. Automatically doing that for me. Okay, that's super cool. And oh, we forgot to extrude that one section. That's, yeah, this square here. So we have to, let's see if I can go into the sketch and do it there. Extrude, yeah, that. Oh, not you, not you, not you, not you, just that. Okay, let's remove the entire thing. Yeah, and I just want it to be straight through so that this can be mirrored. Like we just have to print out this exact same thing twice. That should be good. And again, I'm just gonna print this on its side and we won't have to deal with any wacky supports or anything. So this should be good. Okay, let us export that to Bambu and I will be right back. Okay, so here's the final supports. I actually had to do this a ton of different times to get them right. I made a few changes. One, I had to make this opening bigger to make the actual tab piece bigger because it needed much more support than what I was giving it. And then I also gave a lot more space in between the checkers, in between the walls so that they could actually fall down. We can click everything into place now pretty easily. We got the walls with the pins pointed in. They just slide right in to each side. Awesome. And then we got our second one right here. I'll slide right down. We got our kind of finished product here. So the only thing we need to do is design the pull-out tab, and that'll be it. Let's do it. Okay, last but certainly not least, we are going to design that pull tab. So we're gonna make our new sketch on this face right here. And then really we just want this to be a nice big rectangle. So based on the dimensions I already have, we're just gonna draw this out here. I want it to be 9.6 long, I guess that way. And then I want the width, or I guess the height, to be 0.65. Awesome. And then I want kind of like a pull tab on this side, if that makes sense. So we're gonna actually draw a line using the line tool, and we're gonna draw it out 0.15 on both sides. And then we're gonna get our line tool again, draw it out on this side, 0.15. And then this is gonna be used for our arc. So I'm gonna actually use the 3-point arc tool. I'm gonna put 1 point there, 1 point there, and then just another point here. And then so that it lines up with this line in the middle so that we have a nice even circle. And that's pretty much what it's gonna look like. So this is gonna let us push the tab in, but also be able to pull it out pretty easily. So for our extrusion that we're going to do, I had printed this out once actually at a very low extrusion because I thought it'd be fine because it only has to hold the checkers, but because of 3D printing, it kind of warped and it actually wasn't that great at all. So I want a lot more support. So we're gonna actually just extrude this 0.2 of an inch and we'll add both faces to that. And that is that. Okay, that is our pull tab. I will print this and be back. Okay, so now we have our supports created. We have our walls, we have our checkers made, and we have our final pull tab as well. So everything is completely 3D printed. Everything was designed in Onshape. Let's put this thing together. Again, I wanted this to kind of be like able to take for travel and like stored easily. So all of it was meant to be designed to be modular. I didn't want to print this all in one piece or make it permanent. I mean, you could obviously glue everything together or find some way to meld it together. You probably could have printed this all in one piece. It might have been hard, especially with the walls and the circles here. But we'll put the pull tab at the bottom just like this, and you can kind of see the full effect. And then if we just, let's move the camera just a little bit if we can. And then we have our tokens, and we can put those in, and they fall down to the right spot. Awesome. And then whenever you're done with the game, someone wins, you can just use the pull tab, and voila. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really improved, I think, from the start where we were modeling just the little checkers to the end. I had to make each one of these a bunch of different times. I had to do a bunch of different edits, but it really helped me learn the tool and helped me learn what works best on the 3D printer. I'm really excited for the future. I'm going to try and make some cooler stuff. I know Connect 4 isn't the most exciting thing, but I hope this helps. And if you guys have any suggestions on how to use Onshape or how to do things better, let me know in the comments down below. Have a great day.